just one of those amazing autism moms that
thank you.
Gets it done. And
empowered by the fact that you have a child with autism and you decided to just do something about that and help others in the process.
Definitely.
And using what you learned.
Like both of you.
Yeah.
Well, and it is amazing how people find their passion and find their little niche. And you've created something really wonderful. And we're going to start there with talking about the Center for Special Needs.
Okay.
So if somebody missed the interview when you and I talked a couple of weeks ago, tell them, what is the Center for Special Needs?
Well, Center for Special Needs, it's a nonprofit. We're a 501c3, and I founded in 2011. And the reason I did that was when I found out my son officially was diagnosed with autism. So when Nathaniel was probably about 14, 15 months, I had an unofficial diagnosis that he was probably on the spectrum. And that was from some of the things that were occurring with him, sleep and not engaging, and what I now know to be sensory issues, but I didn't know at that time. Just things that were odd and not what I saw with other families and kids. So I had taken him to a practitioner, and she said he was probably on the spectrum and I should go to the regional center. So in doing that, where I live in the Conejo Valley, it's Tri-County Regional Center. So he did receive an autism spectrum diagnosis.
At what age then?
I did that at 2.5, just prior to 3.
Okay.
So, but from there, I left with a suggestion of reading a book. And what I knew about autism at that time was, I'm gonna lose my kid. Like,
right.
He had language and, just the stereotypical things that I'd seen on television at that time. So I started to do some research and started to educate myself. And I felt very alone and isolated, but I also felt like, okay, now all these things that I've been experiencing, I have a label, a direction. That's what I look at a label as. I know a lot of people don't like the word label,
right.
and they put certain kind of stigmatism to that, but I really think having a diagnosis and that label, it allows you to go in a direction of first research and investigating.
It gives you
so much
information, and then you can say, okay, now I can learn about this issue.
Right. So that's what I started doing.
Okay.
And in the process, at that time, so my son is now almost 12.
Okay.
And at that time, I realized there wasn't a lot of resources in my area. There wasn't places to go. There was a lot that you could Google and find, but there wasn't a lot of parent support. So way before I became a nonprofit, I started a support group. And at the time, it was a pretty popular support group. I had sometimes 30 people in my home. And I had kind of a prerequisite that if you came, you couldn't be judgmental.
Right.
Like, you may choose biomedical, you may choose medical, medication. Some people may choose therapy. Everyone chooses what they feel is right for their child and their family, and I think we all need to respect that of one another. So that was, so to speak, my prerequisite of coming, because that, in a sense, is the purpose of a support group, is that we support one another in what our
judge.
That's right, and what our decisions are as families and for our individuals with special needs. So I started with the support group, and then I started gathering information. And so all the information that I gathered, I put on my kitchen table, and I shared all the resources with everyone. And then I started an email group where everything I learned, I just forwarded and shared with everyone. So it kind of started like that. And then I realized how many kiddos either didn't have a specific diagnosis or didn't qualify for services.
Right.
And then I realized the value in what my son was getting that other kids were not getting. Behavior intervention, occupational therapy, speech therapy, hippotherapy, all the different things that he received privately through insurance and through regional center, but that other parents weren't getting, or their kids didn't qualify. And for me, that was such a heavy burden on my heart, because I felt the weight of what that would be like as a parent not to be able to help your kid because you can't afford to.
Yeah.
And our kids can progress. Now, they all progress differently, and they all have different capabilities, and they're all at different cognitive levels, whether you're PDD, PDD-NOS, autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome. But if you provide zero intervention, they can't go anywhere. And then how do we learn about our kids if we don't have professionals helping us?
Yeah.
So then I started the nonprofit.
And it's been an amazing gift to your community.